This is Nightline.
Tonight, athletes in danger, from fandom to fixation.
I answered the door, and he's like, it's me.
Stars like Caitlin Clark,
WNBA star Caitlin Clark's alleged stalker, the suspect in court today.
Olympian Simone Biles, and Livy Dunn, growing risk for sports figures whose daily lives are often very public.
Every single time I go to the airport, there's a group of at least 10 middle-aged men waiting for me.
When online obsession can escalate into frightening real-world encounters, how can athletes be protected? And former Prince Andrew under investigation. Why the head of London's Metropolitan Police is in Washington.
So there's a big body of that evidence is in the United States, in all those files.
And why he says his department's Epstein inquiry is still open.
What are you looking for?
Plus, Taylor Frankie Paul, controversy swirling as one of the stars of Mormon Wives.
It's time for me to do whatever I want to do with whoever I want to do.
Gets ready to put her heart on the line in The Bachelorette, while reportedly under investigation for an alleged domestic violence incident. What the social media star told ABC.
What do you want to share with us about this?
From ABC News headquarters in New York, this is Nightline.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, the growing danger of athletes being stalked. Social media makes it easy to take the personal public. A rise in the instances where the attention moves from fandom to fixation, and sometimes beyond. Here's Nightline's Ashin Singh.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel.
Let's just make a hole-in-one.
Let's go make a birdie, baby. Dang. Whoops.
Haley Ostrom has been hitting the links since she was 9 years old. For the past few years, she's documented her golf career online, amassing nearly 2 million followers.
Oh, not that far left. That one didn't feel great.
I wanted people to follow the journey. I was posting the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, every round was out there for people to see.
For people who are not familiar with the world of golf, when they hear professional athlete, they think money bags.
Professional women's golf is tough to make a really great career because there's not a lot of money.
What did social media do for you from a financial and professional perspective?
It was the only reason that I was able to continue to pursue professional golf and the LPGA for as long as I did. I was able to quit the other jobs.
But sharing her life publicly also opened the door, literally, to something she never expected.
I saw through the window, this guy walks up and he rang the doorbell and he's like waving at me. I knew like something was wrong.
Haley says she found herself face to face with a stranger who insisted they'd been talking online.
So I answered the door and he's like, it's me. Everything kind of goes through your mind so quickly because I don't know if I'm in danger now.
What's going on in your mind?
I was scared.
What happened to Haley that night was terrifying. And for many athletes, it's the kind of real-world encounter that can grow out of online fixation.
Athletes' lives are really visible, and that's part of the draw for the viewer or the watcher. We know where they're going to be, whether it's their tournament schedule or practice schedule.
Athletes across nearly every sport speaking out about this growing problem.
Emma Raducanu, the British star, breaking out into tears on the court after spotting a man in the stands who had allegedly exhibited disturbing behavior towards her.
With superstar gymnast and influencer Livy Dunn blasting autograph seekers who follow her at airports.
There's a group of at least 10 middle-aged men waiting for me, and they harass me.
Olympic gold medalist sprinter Gabby Thomas shared on her TikTok too, saying the same thing happened to her.
I'm afraid that these men, it's 3 to 6 of them, middle-aged, are going to show up and harass me.
Other superstar athletes commenting on her post, saying they've experienced similar incidents. And Dallas Wings basketball star Paige Beckers had a stalker who posted on social media with an engagement ring, saying he intended to marry her. He was arrested and pled guilty to a stalking charge.
Female athletes and women in general are stalked at higher rates than that of their male counterparts.
Carson Kessler has been reporting on athlete stalking for The Athletic.
At the end of the day, it's a really hard issue to police.
She says it's hard to measure how frequently these incidents are happening because no law enforcement agency tracks it.
Using news reports, court filings, and social media, we found around 52 since 2020. And this is a vast undercount because a lot of times stalking incidents are not reported to media and even times not reported to police.
The Department of Justice noted that in 2019, less than a third of stalking victims actually report their incident to police. And in moments like Haley's, it's not always clear how serious the threat may be.
If I shut the door and I just lock the door, lock him out, and call the police, if he gets mad, I don't know if he has a weapon. I don't know what his goal is here.
The man claimed they had been communicating online, showing her photos and videos he believed were proof. She says those videos were altered using AI, like this one, made to look like a personal message from her.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you better and appreciate the connection we were building. Looking forward to hearing about your weekend.
The man eventually left, but she says her sense of safety in her own home was shattered.
I was hysterically crying. I was a mess. And I was sitting on the floor in my dining room where there were no windows that could see me. I made sure all the doors were locked.
Her husband, Olympic snowboarder Louis Vito, was traveling that night.
What was that moment like when a man actually approached the front door of your home?
You feel helpless because you're like, you as a husband, you know, you feel a duty to protect your wife, protect your household, your family, and it's like you can't do anything. What do? You feel horrible.
The work that it takes to report some of these things and provide proof, the burden really falls on the victim when trying to report and provide some sort of protection in these cases.
It's so hard. Something has to happen before they can file a restraining order.
Starting in 2019, Haley was harassed and stalked online for months by a different man. He was bombarding her with messages like, "I don't know why you think you look any good with your very hideous looking smile, with no lips either."
He would take my image and he'd circle the features that he thought might make like the prettiest version of me. And then he would post his photo with his face and circle his features that he thought would be best for us to basically create the most ideal children, was his idea.
Did you ever communicate back with this person?
No.
Fully ignored?
He was fully ignored, so I finally blocked him. That was apparently not the right choice because it made him more mad. Going through the police department, they just said, well, has he done anything yet? Has he come to your house yet? Is he following you? And the answer was always no. Nothing we can do.
But despite the pushback, Haley and her husband kept documenting the man's barrage of messages, posts, and threats. Learning he also lived close to their Utah home, she was able to secure a restraining order against him. So in this separate incident, when the man showed up at her door, Haley went to the police, knowing it could go nowhere.
I just want this to be recorded. I want this on file so that you know this just happened, because if this guy comes back, it's going to be a bigger issue.
Police never arrested or charged him. She also documented the incident on her social media, using the post to warn her followers about fake accounts, pretending to be her.
I do not message you on any other accounts. I will never directly message you. I will not DM you directly asking you to follow me elsewhere.
But one company is working to take some of this burden off of athletes. Moonshot tracks warning signs of fixation and escalation on social media, as threats that once took days now build up in hours.
We are 24/7 monitoring across platforms and looking for any threats which mention their name or nicknames or variation of their names.
Moonshot helped gather online evidence in the case of a Texas man who prosecutors say sent hundreds of threatening and sexually explicit messages for months to WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark.
He allegedly stated his plan to go to a game and sit behind her team's bench.
This individual would post a threat and then delete it. And so what we would find is that even if someone like Caitlin Clark herself identified this behavior and activity, someone like that wouldn't be in a position to actually capture the full evidence that might be needed to actually go to law enforcement for law enforcement to act. We were able to escalate this to the WNBA. We escalated it to the FBI.
Authorities arrested the man in Indianapolis, just 1 mile from the arena where Clark's team plays. The man pled guilty and has since been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison.
Words online are not just words online. They can be a criminal offense.
Moonshot says they've observed that threats for female athletes tend to be sexualized, which is different from the threats to male athletes.
For male athletes, we tend to find high levels of racial abuse, especially for athletes of color. We tend to find efforts to dox athletes when there's complaints about their performance or gambling losses.
Moonshot says the threat landscape is shifting. Online abuse threats have tripled. Violent threats up 10 times in the last 18 months.
If you're a baseball player, basketball player, you're walking into places with lots of security, with a team, with people who are there to protect you. In golf, you don't have that. If I show up by myself, I'm showing up by myself.
For individual athletes, they are really the most vulnerable because they don't have this sort of infrastructure available to support them in the same ways that some big professional leagues do.
Haley says she's now purchased a gun for extra protection.
So luckily in Arizona, I can carry everywhere, so I do.
What's your advice to young women, and especially young women athletes?
Especially for women, if you're getting into a role where you're going to push your social media, I think you have to protect yourself because you don't have to have millions of followers for it to happen. This could happen to really anyone.
Our thanks to Ashin. We switch gears now to the war with Iran. Today, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard grilled on Capitol Hill after the resignation of top counterterrorism official Joe Kent. It's day 19 of the war with Iran. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, the White House releasing these photos. President Trump traveling to Dover Air Force Base to witness the dignified transfer of the remains of 6 American service members killed in this war. The trip coming 24 hours after one of his top intelligence officials resigned in protest. Director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, declaring Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. But Trump insists it did, claiming Iran was trying to rebuild its nuclear program after the U.S. obliterated it last year. But today on Capitol Hill, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard refusing to echo the president's words.
Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to the president based on a volume of information
it is precisely,
that he receives.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement.
Despite what Trump has said, Gabbard told Congress that Iran had actually made no efforts to rebuild its nuclear capability.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
Our thanks to Mary. Stay with Nightline and ABC News for a continuing coverage of the war. When we come back, the latest on the Epstein files, what the head of London's Metropolitan Police told us about Scotland Yard's investigation into former Prince Andrew's ties to the accused sex trafficker. After the break. Welcome back. While the DOJ has said there is nothing in the Epstein files that warrants additional criminal investigation, over in the UK, an active inquest into the relationship between the accused sex trafficker and disgraced royal, the former Prince Andrew. And ABC chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky interviewed the head of Britain's Scotland Yard.
A month after the arrest of former Prince Andrew, Sir Mark Rowley, the head of London's Metropolitan Police, is now in Washington, D.C.
What are you looking for? Several forces are working together, including us looking at the Andrew Mountbatten Windsor case. Those investigations all go wherever the evidence takes them.
The U.S. Justice Department insists there's nothing in the Epstein files that warrants additional criminal investigation right now. Chief Rowley is pushing U.S. officials for unredacted material.
Policing in the UK will operate without fear or favour. That's the fundamental principle.
Rowley's department is investigating both Andrew and Britain's ousted ambassador to the U.S., Peter Mendelsohn, over their ties to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The two men photographed here with Epstein in their bathrobes.
Of course, there's a big body of that evidence is in the United States, in all those files, and we're going to need the unredacted evidence. We need the original copy and where did it come from, and that's going to be necessary if we get to the stage of court cases.
Is the U.S. being cooperative in getting you what you need?
Yeah, so those conversations are where I'd expect them to be at the moment.
Can you help us understand what exactly is under investigation?
With Peter Mandelson, the former ambassador, there is a particular email to do with bailout after the financial crash in the sort of, I think, 2008, 2009. It looks like it was shared with Epstein, so we're looking at that as to whether that's a criminal offence.
Last month, Andrew became the first senior royal to be arrested in modern British history on suspicion of misconduct in public office, after the Epstein files appeared to show he had shared sensitive government emails with Epstein. Police outside of London and Thames Valley are assessing those allegations against Andrew.
There's a whole range of suggested sexual allegations, and those are being assessed at the moment to see whether any of them do actually merit a criminal investigation.
Suspicion of Andrew started years ago with the publication of this photograph showing the then prince with his arm around the waist of Virginia Giuffre, who says she was 17 at the time. Before she died by suicide last year, she alleged Epstein trafficked her in 2001 to have sex with Andrew.
We have almost no statute of limitations. The vast, vast majority of offences have no statute of limitations in the UK.
The former prince has long denied the allegations. He told the BBC in 2019 it couldn't have happened.
I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
He did offer an alibi, said he couldn't have sexually assaulted Virginia Giuffre.
You're trying to take me more into the detail of this than I'm going to go.
I know,
it's a live investigation.
How many times did the Met Police interview Virginia Giuffre?
So with potential victims of sexual violence, we do something we call a video recorded interview. With Virginia Giuffre, we did 4 of those interviews with her, mainly in the UK, but one was in the United States. And those interviews didn't give us any evidence or any allegations of sexual offending or trafficking that we could investigate in the UK.
The investigation from the Epstein files comes as Scotland Yard is targeting sexual and domestic violence against both VIPs and ordinary people.
We've developed tactics to be much more proactive in targeting the most dangerous men who pose a threat to women and children, just like we do terrorists and organised crimes.
Rowley points out that approaching potential victims with compassion is crucial.
At the centre of the Epstein case are some horrific stories that we all hear from victims, and we all want to do everything we can to deal with people if there are criminal offences there to investigate.
Our thanks to Aaron. We'll, of course, continue to follow this story as it unfolds. When we come back, controversy swirling as the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star Taylor Frankie Paul gets ready to find love on The Bachelorette. And finally tonight, Taylor Frankie Paul responding to recent headlines about an alleged incident with her ex-boyfriend. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star appearing on GMA, opening up about the controversy and alleged domestic violence investigation involving her and her ex-boyfriend, Dakota Mortensen.
I'm a person that will always speak my truth, and that's what I'm known for, and so when the time is right, I will be. But right now, just trying to be in the present moment.
Saying she's doing her best to focus on being ABC's newest Bachelorette, despite the drama, but she's looking forward, not back.
It's wild and it's exciting.
And is there someone new in her life? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's in my life, but can't give away too much. That would ruin the surprise, wouldn't it?
And that's Nightline for this evening. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Thanks for the company, America. Good night.